My name's Neil Shonhard. I am the CEO and co-founder of MonetaGo, and we build digital public infrastructure or registries for countries, that's fraud and collateral registries that promote economic growth through de-risking of trade and finance. Factoring hasn't had much market penetration there. Obviously, it's a really big market with a great deal of untapped potential. And not just factoring, but open account or trade financing in general is something that really would have a great deal of developmental growth in the country should that part of the market grow. So we've been working with an initiative called TFCOP. TFCOP was established to bridge the SME funding gap. And the participants in this initiative are all of the multilateral development banks, FCI, funnily enough, IPFA, BAFT, and dozens of people basically. And their goal is essentially to, how do we bridge that gap? Is it risk? Is it infrastructure? Is it all of the above? What can we do to help? And that's how we got brought in. And because of the impact of our solution in other jurisdictions, particularly in emerging markets on de-risking trade, which then promotes liquidity, which then basically brings economic growth, and there's that socio-economic developmental narrative behind that infrastructure and the knock-on effects of de-risking trade, we've been brought into Nigeria. What happened then was that we, with TFCOP, hosted a roundtable, and Ian was in Lagos, and in that meeting I think there was 19 banks, 6 new banks, 5 or 6 non-bank lenders, revenue service, various government divisions, multiple people from the central bank, and I think there was around about 60 or 70 people in a room. And in this sort of round table, if you can call it that, it was meant to be a 1 hour or an hour and a half session. I think Ian said it was over 3. And everybody just asked questions about what is digital public infrastructure for trade, what's the impact to us as a bank, what's the impact to the country, and everybody decided to get behind it. And so that's what we've been working on in Nigeria. Of course, that sort of round table leads to multiple follow-on questions and phone calls, essentially, which again Ian's done the lion's share of. And thereafter, basically everybody decides, do we want to proceed with this? Is it something that's going to impact us in a positive way? What's the undertaking? Is it a heavy lift? All of that stuff. What's the data locality issues? Spoke to legal firms, every sort of aspect of that infrastructure pre-deployment is something that we assess, as do they, and then they decide whether or not to move forwards. And then the next step for that was the central bank to essentially issue a statement saying, okay, we really want this, we've spoken to our banks, this is something we want to progress with, so we'd like to do this and would request sort of your help to do so. The next steps is essentially to start building. So one of the many awful analogies that I've got for this company is our engine, your chassis. So they will want obviously maybe a nuanced language, nuanced workflow, nuanced UI to the system that we would implement in that country. But ultimately the guts of the system behind it is the same in every country, because that's the part that is also interoperable across border. So we will go about embarking on a journey to find out what the banks and the government want from the chassis, and then deploy that. And actually we don't know how long that will take, but we can do a deployment, assuming there's not too many nuances, in under 3 months. But depending on the amount of changes that they need, that's obviously kicks out the timeline. But we're hoping, I believe that there's a goal to have this finished before the end of the year, and that's something we can certainly achieve on our end.